5 seconds. 3 seconds. Right, hello and welcome to another multimedia update, a fairly big multimedia update. It's been a good many months since the last one, and this may be the last video filmed in this very bedroom because I'm moving into a bigger room, and so I've got proper shelves and so on to put my DVDs and Blu-rays on. I just figured I'd film this now just to get it out of the way, and because the pile's gotten pretty massive at the moment, so without any further ado, let's get going. The first item is a DVD, and this is a DVD I got under very weird circumstances, and this is The Harvesting, also known as Soul Harvest. This is I believe this is a direct-to-DVD horror film from 2018, one which I've never fucking heard of. Looks crap. But what's weird is, a bit ago I ordered some new Blu-ray cases and they arrived, but I also got this in the box for some reason, which is very strange. Just a freebie DVD. There's the back with the eBay sell if you want to check them out. They're quite a good sell actually. But yeah, I was just given this. I don't know why, and I'm probably never going to watch it because it looks absolute shit, and apparently, and I looked up on like IMDb and Letterboxd, and the reviews are pretty fucking bad. So I'm probably never going to watch this. I mean, I do have a fondness for crap horror films, but generally the older ones tend to have a bit more, appeal to them, whereas crap modern horror is just kind of a bit on the boring side. So this is probably quite boring, so I don't really have any intentions of watching this. But it's weird to have. Here's the disc. I don't know why I bothered taking it out, because you could already see it through the paper sleeve. So yeah, that was a weird oddity. So now we move on to the proper titles, the ones which I actually did buy myself because I wanted them, or I don't know, had them bought for me or something. I think these are all ones which I bought myself. So we move on to the Blu-rays. First couple of Blu-rays are ones which I haven't seen yet, starting with John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. I got this in HMV discounted because they had a discount on second sight titles, so yeah, so I just picked it up, and I've heard it's a great film. John Carpenter's first, I'd say, proper big film. This came out before Halloween. This was after Dark Star. But yeah, here's the disc. Next one is Magic. It's a very early film with Anthony Hopkins. I've heard this is a very good film as well. Sort of about this ventriloquist, I think, that's from what I've gathered. Yeah, I don't really know what it's about, but I've heard really good things about it, so I'll definitely be giving it a go. And the final one, which I haven't seen, is Martin, directed by George A. Romero. I've heard this film's really good. A very overlooked semi-vampire film, but it's not really a vampire film. From what I hear, it's basically this guy who believes he's a vampire and he goes around murdering people and drinking their blood. I've heard it's really good. And this is the standard release from Second Sight. This includes, I believe this includes the theatrical cut. There is a work print out there, which somebody had sold on eBay, and Second Sight were bidding on it, but somebody else had won, and they were trying to, see if they could get in touch with the person who won, see if maybe I could come up with an arrangement, and the guy told them to get stuffed. So unfortunate. So there is a work print out there, like a longer cut, but some twats got it, so here. Here's the disc. And then we move on to the Blu-rays I have seen, starting off with Jackass Forever, the most recent Jackass film, which came out 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, this is quite an odd one for me. I mean, I enjoy the Jackass films. I think they're really good fun for what they are. This one's kind of the same, really, you know, as the other ones. But this is actually my least favourite of the Jackass films. But what's weird is this one seems to have a lot of critical acclaim. Like, even people who don't normally like the Jackass films tend to like Jackass Forever, which is weird. Because at best, it doesn't really do anything different when compared to the other ones, and at worst, I don't know, there was just something off about it. There's just something vaguely mean-spirited about the whole thing, which is odd, because some of the reviews sound like this is the most wholesome of the Jackass films, and it's not. It really is quite... Some of the pranks do go a bit far, from what I can remember. But this also has the new cast, and they're fine. I believe Johnny Knoxville was going to do a new series of Jackass with the new cast in this, but that never came through. And I think at this point, the Jackass franchise had kind of run its course, and I think they should have just left it there. Yep, here's the disc. Next one is an absolute classic. The Lady Killers from the Studio Canal Vintage Classics collection. Ealing comedy. I've seen a few Ealing comedies, and this is actually my favourite one. I love this film. It's fantastic. It's great as a little sort of thriller, but also a really funny film as well. I've seen Lavender Hill Mob, which I thought was really good. I've seen Kind Hearts and Coronets, which I thought was really good. I've seen Tit for Thunderbolt as well, but this is my favourite one of the lot. It comes with a slip cover. This is a 2-disc set. For some reason, the discs have got the proper use certificates on them. For some reason, on the case, it's got the PG certificate, which is a bit odd. I believe not too long ago, this one was actually upgraded to a PG. It had been a U for decades. So yeah. Next one is an absolutely brilliant Martin Scorsese film, The King of Comedy, with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis. Probably my second favourite Scorsese film after After Hours. I love this film, it's fantastic. One of Martin Scorsese's only PG rated films. And Robert De Niro gives a fantastic performance in this. Here's the disc. Next up we've got a very interesting film. Phil Tippett's Mad God. Phil Tippett is a stop motion animator who used to work primarily in special effects during the 80s, I believe. And I believe this one was actually in development since the 80s. This was a Shudder exclusive. Shudder is a streaming service which deals mostly in horror films. I did have a free trial with Shudder a few years ago, before this came out. But from what I can remember, Shudder was like one of the few decent streaming services out there. But it's very nice that they gave this a physical release. And it's a very good film as well. Very, very, very weird. You know, you are probably going to be quite confused throughout most of this. There's no dialogue or anything, and not really a consistent narrative, but it's still really good. Gory as hell. It well and truly earned its 18 rating. But yep, here's the disc. Next up we've got TV show series. The complete series 1 to 3 of Brian Pern. Absolutely hilarious series if you've not seen it. This is a mockumentary series about a fictional musician called Brian Pern, who used to be in a band called Foch, and then he got his own independent career, and it's really, really funny. One thing about it is it's really, really well made. Like when they show archive footage and stuff, it looks like a actual documentary series, and this was originally shown on BBC4, and so that probably helps with the illusion. It stars Simon Day at the Fast Show. Yep, here's the discs, disc 1 and disc 2. Now, this is a DVD copy of Brian Pern Tribute, which is not included on this set. It was the last thing related to Brian Pern. This set came out in 2016, but the Brian Pern Tribute was shown in 2017, so I don't know why they were showing patience to get the Blu-ray set out, if this was going to be the last thing. So, but it is on YouTube, so you can watch it for yourself. And also, I'm never going to be able to take The Visitation seriously after watching this, if you get where I'm coming from. Yeah, this started out as a YouTube series originally on the BBC Comedy channel, which is now defunct. And the versions on here of the original web episodes are in very, very, very ropey quality. Because the BBC actually got rid of the masters, which is stupid because, as late as 2008 they were junking stuff, which is a bit of a pity. Next up we've got a really, really overlooked Michael Caine film, A Shock to the System. I'm very happy this film finally got a Blu-ray release in this country. Absolutely brilliant film. Michael Caine gives an insane performance. In fact, there's a clip of him basically losing his shit on YouTube, and it's absolutely hilarious. Basically, Michael Caine is sort of like he's like a yuppie. I wouldn't necessarily call him a yuppie. He's more kind of a Wall Street businessman, and he's declined a promotion, and he more or less goes on a killing spree. Really, really good film. I'd say if you're in a bad mood, put this on and it'll lighten your spirits, because you will relate greatly to Michael Caine, only without the murderous part. Yeah, definitely would recommend it. Here's the disc. Next one we've got is Billy Connolly, Big Banana Feet. Big fan of Billy Connolly. This is a documentary about from his time sort of touring in Ireland during the 1970s. This film was, I believe it was considered lost for a long time, or it was unavailable officially. Clips from it had been shown in a lot of the Billy Connolly compilation videos, but the full thing was not released until fairly recently when the BFI released it. But yeah, very enjoyable if you're a fan of Billy Connolly. I definitely would recommend it. Especially seeing a lot of his early stuff. It's the discs. There's the Blu-ray and there's the DVD. I pre-ordered this, so you get the booklet as well. Very cool. BFI often do really good booklets. In fact, one of the reasons I would recommend getting the Devils is for the booklet. Next Blu-ray is Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights. Similar to the Second Sight ones, I got this very heavily discounted at HMV. Absolutely fantastic film. I definitely would recommend it. Set during it's set from the late 70s to the early 80s, based around a porn actor. This is my first Paul Thomas Anderson film, believe it or not. I've never seen a Paul Thomas Anderson film up to this point. Not all his films particularly interest me, but there's a couple. I've heard Magnolia is really good, and also There Will Be Blood as well. But yeah, this is the Cine edition, which is H&B exclusive, my first and probably only Cine edition. Celebrating every story when we're not putting them away for tax reasons. Yep, on the back we just get I'm the king of me, I'm Dirk Diggler. Here we have the Blu-ray itself with some really nice artwork, which I think was exclusive to the Steelbook edition. I had to put this in proper case because annoyingly, even though this was, I paid about half price for this, but the original price was like 20 odd quid. But Warner still insisted on using a fucking eco box for some reason, so I had to swap the cases over. The Blu-ray disc inside uses the same master as the original Blu-ray from 2010, I think. So there's really no difference. It's not got a new transfer. It's not got any new extras or anything. So if you've already got the old Blu-ray, there's really no point in getting this. And so we have this little folder thing. We have a poster. This is using the original poster artwork. That's very nice. And we also get some art cards. Now what's nice about these art cards is they're double-sided. One side is glossy and the other side is matte. So yeah, that's Boogie Nights. Next one's he's going to DVD as well. I've got a fair few John Waters films. My friend Adam, who runs the YouTube channel Rogue Cinema, link in the description, he really got me into John Waters. In fact, through him I've watched pretty much John Waters' entire filmography, so thanks for that. Mind you, I got him into Ken Russell, so it swings and roundabouts. But yeah, I've got a fair few John Waters films here. First one is Serial Mum, starring Kathleen Turner. Absolutely brilliant film, if you've not seen it. Sort of a spoof of sort of true crime sort of documentaries. Quite ludicrous film in a lot of cases, but it's absolutely fantastic, absolutely hilarious. And also it definitely feels a lot like John Waters releasing his inner Herschel Gordon Lewis. In fact, inadvertently Herschel Gordon Lewis is referenced in it because Kathleen Turner's son in this, who's played by Matthew Lillard, funnily enough, is a fan of Blood Feast. So at least he's got some taste. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely brilliant film. Very overlooked. This is the German Blu-ray edition. And there is a UK Blu-ray out there, but the UK Blu-ray is long out of print and goes for fairly silly money. I got this fairly cheap from Amazon Germany because it's still in print over there. But inside, because with Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff, you can have multiple audio tracks, multiple subtitles. They were able to basically just repackage the same disc for all over the world. So this is the same, identical to the UK disc. It's even got the BBFC ratings on it. And on the other side, we get a reversible cover with the rating removed. Some German Blu-rays and German DVDs have reversible covers where you can hide the rating, and some you don't. Yeah, and also, for some reason, they printed the title on weirdly, which I don't get, and I find that rather quite annoying. Next one is probably John Waters' most famous film and his most sickest, and it is Pink Flamingos. Not a movie about flamingos, by the way. Yeah, a very, very, very sick film. If you've got even the slightest bit of a weak stomach, do not watch this or you'll probably throw up. Surprisingly, I've seen a fair few sick films in my time. But I wasn't really fully desensitized to this. But funnily enough, this is one of the few gross films which I actually really enjoy. This film is absolutely hilarious. If you've not seen it, you have to have a really sort of weird sense of humour to get this. Yeah. This is the Criterion release. This cost me about 20 odd quid in HMV, which makes me a bit much. But this also includes a documentary on it as an extra called Divine Trash, which is about John Waters' early career, his pre-Pink Flamingos work, mostly related to the Trash trilogy. But yeah, this is my favourite of the Trash trilogy. Desperate Living is really good as well. I definitely would recommend Desperate Living. It's a pity that hasn't got a UK release on Blu-ray. Female Trouble is absolute crap. Don't watch that. A lot of people really like Female Trouble, but I could not get on with it at all. I think probably because it's just far too mean-spirited for its own good. And it's far too mean-spirited, but it's not funny enough as well. None of the jokes really landed for me, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, Pink Flamingos is really good. Yeah, the portrait with the dog. That is the most infamous scene in the film, when Divine eats real dog feces, which, funnily enough, that's probably the tamest scene in the whole film. Yeah. Yep, and here's the disc. Director approved sticker. And we get this, a replica of the newspaper in the film. Yeah, that's really cool. It's not really a replica, it's more just kind of the booklet that comes with most Criterions. I believe the US version of this actually comes with a puke bag, which is kind of amusing to me. I mean, you probably would need a puke bag, to be honest, if you're going to watch Pink Flamingos. Yeah, so this is the first time this film was ever released uncut in this country. It wasn't released properly over here until I know it was shown in the Scala back in the 80s, but didn't get a proper release here until I think at least the 90s, and it was very heavily cut then. It was only about 2 years ago this finally got released uncut. So yes, we get to see the infamous chicken scene in all its glory. in fact, one of my favourite stories related to the chicken scene is film critic Mark Kermode, who's probably my all-time favourite film critic. This was, I believe, the first film he ever walked out of. And many years later, he had an interview with John Waters and said he really objected to the chicken scene. And John Waters, basically said, well, yeah, lots of people, have problems with the chicken scene, but they're the same. But like the following day, they'll go and have a McDonald's and not really think about it. And then, which is true, people going, oh, it's sick, it's gross, you shouldn't have done that to the chicken, this, that, the other. But they're the same sort of people who would eat McDonald's and who would eat KFC and not think about it. And Mark basically told them, well, I wouldn't because I'm a vegetarian. And then John Waters responded with, well, I bet you've never kept chickens. And Mark responded with, actually, I've got pet chickens. And then John responded with, okay, to you, Mark, I apologise. Everyone else can kiss my arse. Which is just a brilliant response. So now we move on to the DVDs, and we've got another John Waters film. Cecil B. Demented with Millie Griffith and Stephen Dorff. Really overlooked John Waters film. I thought this film was absolutely fantastic. In fact, it is probably my favourite of John Waters' filmography. Very much a satire of Hollywood. Basically, it's about these rogue sort of independent filmmakers who kidnap an A-list celebrity and basically make her do these weird terrorist movies. It's really, really good and actually a lot deeper than some people give it credit for. A lot of people just dismiss this as just a dumb action film, but in reality, there's a lot more there. And this and Serial Mum and a lot of other stuff kind of shows John Waters really loves B-movies and has a place for them. So yeah, you can't not respect him for that. But yeah, here's the disc. And then the final John Waters related thing is a box set. I'm really chuffed to have this box set. Mega triples. This contains Pecker, Hairspray and A Dirty Shame. But yeah, really nice box set. I got for about 30 quid or something, new and sealed on eBay. But yeah, first up is Pecker, which was the first film of John Waters I've ever seen. It's not my favourite of his, but it's definitely really good fun. Stars Edward Furlong, who's probably best known as John Connor in Terminator 2. But yeah, really fun film. Sort of, I don't know if I'd call this autobiographical. It's not really, but it's definitely a very enjoyable watch. Here's the disc. And inside we have just the chapter thing. Hairspray, the original Hairspray, that is. Probably John Waters' one of the only family films he ever did. Absolutely fantastic film, and not the sort of film I would have initially been interested in from the outset, but when I watched it, it's absolutely brilliant. A lot deeper as well than what people give it credit for. Very much a critique of segregation during the 60s. It came out in the 80s, but it's set during the 60s. They did remake this. They made this into a musical years later, and then they made that musical into a film, which I think I've seen bits of the remake of Hairspray. I wasn't that keen on it, but the original Hairspray is absolutely fantastic. Here's the disc. For some reason this one comes in a clear case, whereas the rest come in black cases. Here we have the little leaflet with the stops. And then finally, John Waters' final film, at the moment at least, A Dirty Shame. Probably his dumbest film he's done so far, which is really saying a lot. And it's absolutely hilarious. Very, very, very crude. This, I wouldn't necessarily call this one as graphic as like Hair as Pink Flamingos, but definitely his crudest film. I mean, the big theme of this film is sex, and Johnny Knoxville's in it, and he basically plays Sex Jesus. But it's absolutely hilarious. I could not stop laughing when I was watching this. If you've got a very, very, very crude sense of humour, I definitely would recommend this. It's so much fun. Also, David Hasselhoff appears in this as well, in probably the weirdest cameo in his entire career, which, yeah, that was funny. Here's the disc. And inside we have the booklet with loads of posters inside, and the chap stop. Advertising of entertainment and video titles. The Crow, Wicked Prayer, that's the third Crow movie, I believe. That was over for long. Not gonna fucking watch it, and I'm not gonna watch the fucking remake either. But yeah, that was Dirty Shame. Okay, so moving on, we have a Ken Russell film, Marla. Absolutely fantastic film. Not my favourite of Ken Russell's, not even my favourite of his composer films, but it's still absolutely fantastic. It reminded me a lot of The Music Lovers in a lot of cases. But yeah, definitely would recommend it. Weird as Hell, which is something you would very much expect from Ken Russell. But there is definitely some sentimentality there as well. And here's the disc. Next up, we've got a really overlooked 80s teen comedy, sort of teen comedy drama. This is A Catholic Boys, also known in the US as Heaven Help Us. Very overlooked and quite underrated sort of comedy drama, which is set entirely in a very, very strict Catholic school during the 60s. But yeah, it's really good. Definitely would recommend it. Some parts of it haven't aged particularly well. Okay, really, there's one part of this film which really is a very, very hard watch, especially these days, and it is one of the characters who's sort of more like a bully sort of character. Pretty much every other sentence he says the F slur, which, yeah, it's a bit dodgy now, but you kind of have to bear in mind the fact that he's a bully character anyway, so he's not going to say the best things in the world, and also the film's sort of set in the 60s. Even though I've never seen it before, it's probably aged a lot better than like Revenge of the Nerds or anything. I mean, it's also it's aged better than like The Last American Virgin. Obviously, it's not as good as like a lot of the John Hughes teen comedies of the 80s, but still really good, and definitely one of the better of the ones which weren't directed by John Hughes. Yeah, this film also stars the late great Donald Sutherland, who sadly passed away not too long ago. Here's the disc. And so we have this something called Radar from Optimum Home Entertainment, number 4. This is basically like not really a newsletter, it's more like just an advertisement thing for Optimum titles which are coming out around the time. Win free Optimum DVDs. For some reason they don't give an expiration date or anything, so all you have to do is basically just contact them, send them an email or something. I don't think that would work anymore, because the DVD came out in 2009, but that's quite funny. And on the other side we have a mini quad poster for Kate Beckinsale in Whiteout, which is a film I've never heard of and I don't think I'll ever watch. But yeah, that's a fairly nice addition. Next up, oh God almighty, Freddy Got Fingered. Considered one of the worst films ever made. Do I agree with that? Fuck no, this film is absolutely hilarious. Very, very, very weird film, again. You have to be sort of in the right mindset for it. This is basically Tom Green's shitposting for about 19 minutes or so on, and it's absolutely hilarious and absolutely sick as well, although after Pink Flamingos it's pretty tame by comparison. Oh dear. But yeah, I think it's one of those films where you're going to either get it or you're not. But yeah, and Tom Green's one of those people I'm not overly familiar with. I've never seen the Tom Green Show or anything, but after watching this I'm kind of curious to check out the rest of his stuff. And also Rip Torn stars in it, and his character is somehow even more insane than Tom Green, which is really saying something. There's quite a lot of funny stories about this film which I want to share. One of them was a few years ago in America. This guy was arrested because he had a restaurant out for him because he forgot to return his rented copy of Freddy Got Fingered, like 15 years later and long after the video store had closed, which is both a frustrating but also hilarious story at the same time. And also this film won the Razzie for Worst Picture, which is, to be fair though, kind of expected because the Razzies don't really have any standards anyway. And Tom Green actually turned up for the ceremony, and he actually bought his own red carpet to it. And when he accepted his award, he just like played the harmonica like really loudly for ages until he was kicked off the stage. I don't know about you, I would have retracted the Razzie at that point because it's obvious he's taking the piss. I mean, clearly this film was made to take the piss, and it really does that. I mean, it is basically internet humour before internet humour really existed. Yeah, but here's the disc. And inside we just have the chapter points. Next up is another hilariously bad film. Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York. This was Arnie's first film, I believe. Crap film. If you're going to watch this as an actual proper film, it's pretty crap. But it's definitely what I call so bad it's good. It's such an inept film at just about everything it tries to do that it's really, really charming. Yeah, if you know what you're getting into, this is almost really funny. It's a comedy, but it's kind of, when it tries to be funny, it's not funny. But when it's not trying to be funny, it's hilarious. Features Arnold's real voice for the first time. Because when this film came out, they originally dubbed Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice due to his thick Austrian accent. That and he couldn't act his way out of a paper bag. And I've only ever watched the one with his original voice, and it's one of the few instances where the original voice is actually funnier than the dub, because Arnie just cannot act in this at all. Like he makes a table look charismatic. That's just how bad his acting is. But the dub is also hilarious as well, in the sense that it just doesn't match. From the clips I've seen of the dub, it just doesn't really match like Arnie. But yeah, this was released by shit DVD house, Hollywood DVD, who are no longer around, and they mostly put out a load of crap. But yeah, Hollywood DVD also did those, a bit like Prism Leisure, they also did those 4 movie packs. Is the disc. This, I got this new and sealed for like £3 or something on eBay, which was absolute bargain. You know, for an out of print title for it to be that cheap. But it also had the original price sticker on it of 99p. Great buy. There's just a sticker that just went on the back. But yeah, that's fine. Next up, we've got another hilariously bad film, and that is Lady Terminator, directed by the same guy who directed Mystics in Bali. If you've ever seen that, where's the fact that it's a Terminator rip-off, like a badge of honour? Like it, there's a lot of scenes which are quite obviously lifted from the Terminator. But absolutely fucking mental, which is kind of what you'd expect. It's an Indonesian film, by the way, and also bizarrely horny as well. But yeah, I definitely would recommend it. It's not as funny as Mystics in Bali, but it's pretty damn close. Yeah, if you know what I've said this a million times in this update. If you know what you're getting in for, give this a watch. It's good fun. This also includes a documentary on Indonesian exploitation cinema, which was an episode of the Mondo Makabe TV series, because the Mondo Makabe label, before it was a Blu-ray label, it was a TV series here in Britain, which was shown on Channel 4 in the late 90s. It was shown on the 4 Later block, from what I understand. But yeah, I've not actually watched it yet. I really should check it out. It was on the UK DVD release of Mystics in Bali, but not on the US one, which is the one I've got. But it's nice to have it here. Here's the disc. Then we move on to some TV show sets. So the first one we've got is The Almost Complete Queue with Spike Milligan. I actually got this as a birthday present just shortly after my last update. So that's how long I've had this for. I've still not properly delved into it yet. I'm looking forward to it. I've got the video of the best of Q, but that tape seems to be cursed, because first copy I got doesn't play well at all. Second copy I got was mouldy, so I had to send it back. Third copy got lost in the post, and the seller was an absolute git. So I was actually bought this. This is the Almost Complete Q. Now, it's called the Almost Complete Q because I believe half the first series was wiped from the BBC back in the 70s, and only 3 episodes of the first series are known to exist, and only one of the episodes is in colour, and the rest were in black and white. The show was actually always made in colour ever since it began. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this, but unfortunately I'm going to have to watch this with a really massive grain of salt, because from what I understand, some of the jokes are a bit racist. Okay, sometimes Spike Milligan does do the skin darkening makeup stuff, which is, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that aspect of it. I believe even at the time he was criticised for it. But yeah, I'm still going to give it a go, and maybe I might enjoy it. It was an influential sketch show. This came out, I believe, it started just before Monty Python began, and kind of this and Monty Python are really influential in the sketch shows which would later come along, although this one's nowhere near as well known as Monty Python. And it's probably not as good as Monty Python, but anyhow. Here are the discs. Yeah, because they named the series weirdly, because the first series was called Q5, which a lot of people speculate what it means. I believe it might be a reference to to type of quality control on TV back in the day. The first series was shown in 1969. The second series was shown in 1975, which was called Q6. The third series was shown in 78, I think. You get the idea. Then the next one was shown in 79, I think. Next one, 1980. And there was a final series of Q, which for some reason is not included on this set. This one only goes up to Q9. And that last series was called There's a Lot of It About, which has never got a official release on DVD in any capacity, which is a bit stupid because that is the last series of Q, so I don't get why it's not included. I guess probably because Simply Media are a bit thick and didn't realise it was. And probably thought it was like a sequel series, didn't realise it was actually the last series of Q. It's a bit of a shame. And then we get to an absolutely classic sitcom from the 70s. Very, very enjoyable. In fact, I would go so far as to call this one of my favourites. Porridge with Ronnie Barker. Absolutely brilliant series. Set entirely in a prison. In fact, the term porridge is basically, it's an informal term which I don't think is used anymore, but it basically means doing time, because porridge was a breakfast traditionally served in British prisons. But yeah, really good. So anyway, here's series 1 and 2. Then inside we got series 3 and the Christmas specials. One thing about porridge which is interesting is it was actually popular with actual prisoners when it was shown on TV. In fact, it was often recorded, for prisoners to watch. And I believe, like, if a prisoner got out of line, their punishment was they weren't allowed to watch porridge, which is kind of hilarious. And I believe, from what I understand, it's actually really quite accurate, to what prison life was like back in the 70s. Especially the relationship between Fletcher, who's Ronnie Barker's character, and Mr. Mackay, who was the chief prison warden. Their relationship is, from what I understand, pretty accurate to what the actual relationship between prisoners and prison wardens were like. But yeah, absolute classic comedy series. And sadly, rest in peace, Richard Beckinsale, who was Godber, the younger inmate in Porridge. He died only a few years after the Porridge had ended. He was only 32, bless him. The next one we've got Going Straight, the complete series. This was the sequel series to Porridge. Only lasted a single series. I believe it was because of It was partly because of Richard Beckinsale's passing, but also I believe the writers Dick Clement and Ian LaFrenne didn't want to do any more series, which is fair enough, because I do really enjoy Going Straight, but I don't think you could get more than a single series out of it, because kind of the way it wraps is pretty much perfect. But yeah, this was Fletcher's sort of time outside prison, when he's on parole, trying to acclimatise back into life and not getting involved in crime again. But yeah, really good series. This won a BAFTA, funnily enough. It's not as good as Porridge, nowhere near as good as Porridge, but definitely still worth a watch. Here's the disc. Then the final DVD is a fairly big box set, and this is the Big Bottom box. This contains all the Bottom live shows plus Guest House Paradiso and the Best of Bottom live. I've been meaning to get the Bottom Live shows for ages. I just never really got around to it, and they are quite. The last 3 are really easy to get, but the first 2 are quite hard to get for a decent price. And this box set is very hard to get for a decent price as well. Guest House Parodies. I've already got Guest House Parodies, but I'll probably offload my other copy because it's identical to the one in this set. But I pretty much got this set because it would save a lot more space on the shelves, which is very nice. So this contains Guest House Paradiso, Bottom Live the Stage Show, Big Number 2, Hooligans Island, The Best of Bottom Live, the 2001 show, which was an art oddity, and the Weapons Go Y Fronts. I did initially buy this set for about £50 from CEX, bought it online, and the condition of it was absolutely appalling. The box was tatty as all arseholes. And one of the discs didn't work. It was the 2001 show disc didn't work. So £50, I was not impressed. And so I sent it back. Fortunately with CEX, you can just go, if you've got a store fairly local to you, you can just drop it off. But yeah, I won this in an eBay auction, and the difference is night and day. Other than some like minor scuffing, no one's really touched this, and the discs inside are immaculate. They look like they've probably been watched. Here's the first disc, which is Guest House Paradiso, which is I've seen. I need to watch it again actually. I've seen it before. It's not really a bottom movie. Obviously, it's set in a hotel, and Rick and Aid are running this hotel, the worst guest house in England. Yeah, it's not as, but yeah, they're not the same characters. Like the last names are different, and sort of the way they play them is quite different, which is probably why it didn't go very well with bottom fans. But the thing is, though, Rick and Aid had been playing virtually the same characters for years prior, so it just kind of feels like it's just a thing for Rick and Aid to do. And obviously, it's not as good as Bottom, nowhere near as good as Bottom, but it's good fun for what it is. Bottom Live, the stage show, the first ever Bottom Live show, which was performed in 1993. So in between series 2 and 3 of the TV show. Absolutely fantastic. Not as good as the TV show, of course, but really, really funny. Absolutely hilarious. I mean, you can't really go wrong with a show that features Rick Mail accidentally supergluing a blow-up doll to his knob. Yeah, but it is basically just an extended episode of the TV show, but really, really funny. This is my favourite of the Bottom Live shows. And one thing about the live shows is they're a lot cruder than the TV show was. They could get away with it more. I mean, all the live shows are 18, whereas the TV show is only 15. And one of the things which, if time travel existed, one of the things I would be doing is going back in time to watch one of the Bottom Live shows as they were being performed, because one thing about them is Rick and Aid would often flub their lines, and they'd end up either improvising or taking the piss out of the audience, and that's really fun. And it's really fun when they just go off script. Bottom Live, the Big Number 2, is performed in 1995. So I think this was either just before the third series or after the third series. It's the first half is pretty much on par with the first live show, but sadly it derails a bit when they're in prison. But yeah, still pretty enjoyable. Hooligans Island from 1997, which was the long after the TV show had ended. Quite controversial opinion. I could not get on with Hooligans Island. Some Bottom fans absolutely swear by it, but I could not get on with it. I just didn't find it very funny at all. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame really, because obviously I'm a fan of Rick and Aid, so it's kind of a shame that the third live show is a bit of a dud. From what I understand, Hooligans Island basically used a lot of the ideas from the proposed fourth series of Bottom, which of course never happened. And not sound rude or anything, but I think if this was going to be the third series of the fourth series of Bottom, I think it would have been best if they just left. I think it would have been best if they just left Bottom at 3 series, just called it a day. Bottom Live, the Best of Bottom Live, which was originally released on VHS back in 1999, around the same time as Guest House Parody. So, but on DVD it's exclusive to this set, which it's all right, not great. They have interludes with sort of actors which are fun, but yeah, it's just a bit of a bonus really. 2001, an Arse Oddity is next, which, another controversial opinion, is actually my second favourite of the Bottom Live shows. It's absolutely hilarious. Not as good as the first one, but still really, really enjoyable. I think you can vaguely tell at this point that Rick and Aid were kind of getting on a bit. I mean, they've been doing this stick for about 20 odd years by this point. But it's still really funny. A lot of the gags really work. It really does not really have that much of a plot, in that none of the Bottom Live shows really have a plot to them. It's mostly just Rick and Aid pissing about, but still really enjoyable. And then the final live show is the Weapons Grade Wife Hunts, which is it's fun. It's not as bad as Hooligans Island. It's good fun for what it is, but a somewhat disappointing way to end the Bottom Live shows, and kind of a disappointing way to end Rick and Aid's relationship, because after this point Rick and Aid sort of called it quits. Aid Edmondson, I think he mainly retired from comedy and went into music for a while. He was a cast member on EastEnders briefly a couple of years ago, and Rick Mayall mostly did, I think he continued acting for a bit, and then sadly we lost Rick Mayall about 10 years ago, bless him. But yeah, I mean, it's still funny, Weapons Go Live Hunts, but not that great. Right, so that's the DVDs and Blu-rays and shit out of the way. I might make this a part 2, I'm not sure. Right, so thanks for watching.